All right, that's off. All right, sound is on, and looks like streaming is good. Levels seem to look good, and we are live, everybody. We are live. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hopefully, you guys are doing fantastic. Let me know if there's any. Hopefully, there's people in the stream. I know Brandon Washington is doing a whole live stream covering the FX2 as well. So I don't know. So obviously, I don't know how many people are going to actually like be here for the streaming part. But if you are here, thank you guys for coming and participating. I really do appreciate it. If you guys hear me all right, let me know. Let me know if how sound is. But as mentioned, welcome. Today, there's quite a few announcements. Some good ones, some interesting ones, some sad ones, as some sad news. Which I just found out like literally like 3 minutes ago. The main things we're going to be talking about today is the Sony FX2, which was just announced earlier this morning. And then after that, we're going to I want to sort of do a little bit of I want to do a little bit of a sort of a, I guess, tinfoil hat of now with FX2, but also cameras like the S1 II out, more cameras out. We all know the S1 II is right now one of the big hot topics, but a lot of people are still waiting for the S1H II. So if that camera was to come out, what would that look like, and what was some things that we should be expecting? So that's some of the things that I am going to be looking forward to discussing here today. And finally, the DaVinci Resolve 20, which I did not expect it to come out of beta so soon, but it is out of beta. It is now out of beta, and I'm going to go over, I think, 5 things that I absolutely love that is from Resolve 20 that, me personally, I think it almost turns Resolve into a cheat code if you are doing video content creation um, in multiple ways. And I'll get to that as well, especially if you combine Resolve 20 with ChatGPT. It's kind of wild what the AI tools that are in Resolve 20 can actually do. So there's that, and again, there's a couple news stories that are coming in. So if you guys are here in the chat, let me know. I would love to see you guys. But let's not waste any more time. I'm going to let's get into what is probably the big story of the day, and that is the fact that make sure. So after sort of waiting, we finally got notification that the FX2, which the rumors have sort of already leaked out, is here. And it's definitely split a lot of people. A lot of people are just looking at it as sort of an interesting thing with the EVF, and sort of like going back to what a lot of people wanted, which is sort of like a video oriented but still hybrid, whereas the FX30 and FX3 felt more like just fully dedicated video cameras. Other people just feel like this is a rehashing of the A7 IV and the A7C II. So with a couple improvements, there's things that are definitely more oriented for the cinema side of things. And for me personally, this is, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I personally just feel like this announcement is, I feel like this is a little bit late to the party, if I'm just being honest with it, because the FX2, I think a year ago would have been a dope camera. Maybe more likely 2 years ago, but at the very least a year ago, this would have been, I think, a dope camera. But it's using technology that has been out for quite some while. A while. Well, first of all, a lot of people were anticipating an upgrade for the A7 IV to the A7 V, but instead, we're at least right now we're getting a rehash. So a lot of people like are just kind of like, this is kind of like a snooze fest. But I would love to know what you guys think. If you guys have your thoughts, leave them in the chat. Let me know what you guys think about the launch of the FX2. I'm like, it's kind of a boring, to me it's kind of a boring launch. I mean, a lot of the things that we see in the FX3 and the FX30, yes, they're in here, but it's a slower readout sensor. The latitude is solid. It's decent. I think the big thing is just the oversampling and high resolution in full frame versus like something like the FX3, which really is just a 4K sensor, or slightly higher than 4K sensor. And then the big thing is the EVF. So if you are someone that is big on EVF, I get you. And I think this is why I'm kind of just like meh about this more than anything as well. And that is because I personally am not a fan of EVFs. I don't really care about EVFs that much. I'd rather have a screen or a monitor personally. So having this be a camera that really the big thing about it is the EVF. It does look like it has a nice looking EVF. It's just, it doesn't tingle my jimmies at all. I'm just being honest about that. Chris, thank you much, man. Well, thank you for joining the channel. Yeah, I totally 100% agree, man. It is meh. It is meh. And I honestly, I think what's bothering me, and this is just sort of, I guess, me. If you all feel the same way, please chime in. I don't know. Look, we got the YouTube videos that are going to do more in-depth explaining, but the actual announcement video that Sony released, this just feels to me like this. I don't know about y'all, but this just feels to me like somebody that was just some marketing team just sat in like a little office space with their coffee, and it's just like, oh yeah, this is great. It feels so. It doesn't feel very welcoming. Like, it just feels very corporate. It feels like this is the things that they wrote on their talking points and they go, which I know this is kind of what you want to do about a launch video, but it doesn't generate excitement. It just feels like is there. I guess soulless is the word that I guess I'm trying to look for. Like, again, it's very informative, but it's just not doing it for me. And I think I know a lot of people have been a lot of the YouTubers have been like really egging on Sony or really coming down on Sony, especially since the S1 II has been announced. And you know what? I'm not going to knock them because guess what? I have been critical of Sony. If you guys have been following me for a while, I've been critical for Sony for years. I felt the same. I felt a lot of the things when the FX3 was first announced. And keep in mind, guys, I have an FX3. I'm actually filming on the FX3 right now. There's a lot of great features, but I didn't go with the FX3 initially because there was a lot of features that weren't there in the beginning that I just felt was mission to be calling it a cinema camera. But also, my situation was not the same situation that I am right now, where the FX3 does fit it better than said my Canon C70, which I traded it in for the FX3 and was able to basically just get it on a great discount. I got it for like $850. But yeah, to me, the Sony FX3, it was a snoo fest, and I know there's a lot of people waiting for the FX3 Mark II. Personally, I don't care for the FX3 Mark II. I'm perfectly satisfied. Again, I know I am like I know I'm not everybody, but I know for me, the FX3 works for what I need it to work with. It does its job. It gets me paid. So for right now, it does the job, and it still makes it works for my creativities and things like that. This new one just feels like, I don't know. They feel like there's like a quota they've got to meet for terms of new camera releases, and it's just like, hey, let's just do this instead of actually trying to figure out a way to give, um, I think, a camera that I think creatives are sort of striving for. That, you know, look, I have my issues with Panasonic, I have my issues with Canon, I have my issues with Blackmagic, but all three of those companies, to me personally, are producing in terms of cameras, and Canon to a less, and Canon in terms of lenses, but in terms of the cameras, those three companies all produce cameras that I feel they know that this is what their audience are looking for, and they're not putting out just for a quota. They're putting out because this is what they know, this is what their audience wants, which I'm super happy for those. And I think Sony's just sort of, it's been on the top. It's interesting. It's kind of the reverse. And it's kind of the reverse of what Canon was years ago before the mirrorless market took over, where Canon was just sort of sitting on its laurels, and then Sony just came by and just overtook. Sony's kind of bit now that, in my personal opinion, where they are just sitting on their laurels instead of actually, like, you know, continue to do things in terms of cameras to push the market. So, hey, Matthew, thank you for joining the channel. Matthew says, I want to buy an A7R5 and an FX3 this year. Should I wait for the FX3 Mark II instead of the FX3 and the A7 V instead of the A7R? I don't know what you're trying to say in terms of the A7R5, but okay, in terms of cameras, if you're going to do a purchase cameras decision, this has always been my thought process, but it's particularly now given that there's, in terms of global economic, there's some uncertainty. My whole philosophy has always been, look at what your needs are, and then look at what are is there cameras that you don't have right now that can sufficiate a need for what you do, and can you get a return on your investment? And if that camera's out right now, go for it. So if that in the case for you is the FX3, go for it, because we don't know when the FX3 Mark II comes out, and so, and even if it comes out like 6-7 months later, so what? If it does, just trade it in or sell your FX3 and then get that and pay the difference. To me, it's more like, again, getting a need and make sure you have a need and satisfying that need first. If you don't need that, if this FX3, if you don't need the FX3 right now, then if you want to wait, sure. But if you're trying to get into that FX ecosystem and dive that in, I don't know if you have like an FX30 or you're already in the ecosystem at Matthew, but for me, it's like, it's better just to get ahead and get in that ecosystem, and then if a new one comes out, then, you know, see what you could do to sort of either trade it in or trade it in and get the new one. But for me, it's like, it's better to just have the camera that's out, because no one actually knows when these cameras are going to come out. There's a lot of rumors that always circulate that, oh, this is going to come out, this come out, but no one actually knows. Like the FX3 II has been talked about for over a year, and nobody still knows when it's going to come out. I mean, Sony's not even planning to release an update for the FX6 to allow B-roll till next year. So, so we can wait, but we don't know when that's going to come, just me personally. So, again, long story short, if you feel like you need the FX3 or the A7R5, the A7 V, or you feel the need for the A7R5 or need for an FX3, and it needs to workflow and you can get a return of investment, just go for it. You know, don't worry about what comes later. Because again, I got the FX3, and yes, there's a lot of things with the S1H II from Panasonic that looks well, that I think Panasonic has done a great job. But I'm not in a rush, because the FX3 does what I needed to do. And also the FX3 in terms of my situation of where I live in the main area where I work, if the FX Sony cameras are just more popular and I get more work with Sony cameras than I do with Panasonic cameras. So, all right, definitely help, man. Happy to help. So, those are my thoughts on the FX2. Let me know what you guys' thoughts are on the FX2. I would love to know. Leave your comments down below. Let me know, or in the stream. I'm so used to saying in the comments. But yeah, leave your comments in the stream. Let me know what you guys' thoughts are on the FX2. And what exactly would you love to see from Sony? If you're not satisfied with the FX2, what would you want to see from Sony in that regards? So, I think this is a good time to sort of discuss another bit of news, but this one's a bit more, I think, sad. Let me find the source, because I just read on, now this is not necessarily confirmed, but so don't take this to the bank or anything. Oops, nope. So, but there's an article that from L Rumors, from the L Rumors site, but it looks like they may, yep, here it is. It looks like Sigma, it looks like Sigma may be discontinuing the FP and the FPL. So this just came out today. The article writes, the source told me that the Sigma FP and FPL have been discontinued. You can still find enough cameras in stock on B&H Photos, but there is no new camera in production. And once stocks ran out, it was all about the Sigma. It was all about the FP and the FPL. So essentially, what we're hearing here is, again, this is not official, so don't necessarily go to the bank, but it does look like Sigma is going to discontinue the FP, which is a shame, because I actually got a little chance to try it out, because I was one of the reps for Laowa. I actually had a Sigma FP, so I got to try it. It was a really nice and cool stream. Cool camera. And it's actually a camera that I was very interested in terms of potentially just having a little camera just to grab BTS and things like that. But yeah, it looks like Sigma's not going to continue on with it. I guess they're going to put all their energy into the BF, which again is an even more niche camera than it is, which I don't know. Sigma, I guess for me, Sigma's making weird decisions regarding that. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Is that the FP, the Sigma FP and the FPL, it looks like they may be discontinued. So if you guys are interested, if you ever thought about getting a Sigma FP or FPL, probably want to do so now, because it's going to be harder. But I would also suggest maybe you want to look in aftermarkets, because they actually go even cheaper on the aftermarkets. Like I've seen some go for like $1,000, which for a full frame camera that has a 6K sensor and shoots cinema DNG RAW internally, that's pretty damn impressive. So, but I just decided, I just wanted to throw that out to you guys. So just go so you guys can know. Chris says, I'm not happy with the 12,800 FX3. I only shoot at 800 or 12,800. It's using different ISOs fine to avoid 12,800. ISO 12,800 is mushy, looks bad next to my Komodo footage. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. So, while technically it's super clean at 12,800. It's just the noise reduction. The reason why it looks mushy, because the noise reduction is kicking in, and as everybody knows, you can't turn off the noise reduction, so that sucks. I honestly hardly ever use 12,800 unless it's a situation where I actually need it. In fact, so the way I set up my camera is that I have it in the Cine EI mode. So it will go either 800 or 12,800. But with 12,800, I actually crank it down. I actually gain it down to usually between 3,200 and 5,000. Now, some people are going to say, "Bo, you're killing dynamic range doing that." And it's like, no, not really. You're not. All you're doing is shifting the latitude when you do that. So yes, you're killing your performance when you shift it down to like 3,200 or 4,000 or 5,000 ISO, but you're also making your blacks much cleaner. It's essentially the same thing when you change the ISO in something like the Cinema Camera 6K. And most cameras actually do the same thing, where you change the ISO, really you're just sort of shifting where the latitude goes, where you're throwing more in the highlights and throwing more in the shadows. And for me, if I'm shooting above 800, that means there's not a lot of light in the area. And so I'm going to need to have clean blacks anyway. So it only makes sense to crank it down. So, but that's just how I think. Using variable indies for ISO 12,800 kind of annoys me. I'd rather have less mushy images. Yeah, like I said, or you can, crank it down, or you can gain it down to 3,200, 4,000, or 500. It's a lot. I find it to be way, way cleaner to do it that way. And yeah, you got obviously indie it down, but again, that's just the noise reduction, and that's just the same thing. It's just a shame that you can't turn it off, but that's why I pretty much stick to 800. I pretty much stick to 800 majority of the time, unless I really have to crank the ISO up, because I'm just a believer of that. You should be able to light your scenes no matter what scenario, whether if it's run and gun or not, unless it's like an extreme case where you are basically told you cannot bring any lights whatsoever. Then the situation may be. But there is so many lights right now that you can get that are self-powered. So like my fill light over here is the Cine Pier C100 from Zhiyun. It has internal battery. It self-powers. I have I don't have it right here with me, but little sneak preview for you guys. But I actually got the newer HB80C. Recently got it. I really love this. Really love that light. It is, to me, it is a big sleeper of a light. I'm just waiting for a piece that should be arriving today that could probably help me with some shaping of the light. But it's a great light, and it's self-powered. Or if you want to use the full max power capability, you can just put a battery bank around it and run Type-C to it. So the point is that I'm trying to make is that there's no excuse for not having lights or lighting your scenes at this point, in my personal opinion. DM Colorist, thanks for joining, man. I really, really do appreciate it. He says, we were just talking about Brandon Washington's, lots of good responses. What do you think of the FX2? Meh. Chris and Matthew can say, well, it's meh to me. I just feel like it's kind of Sony's doing current Sony things, which is just rehashing tech. They're in their cycle right now where they're just rehashing things to just continuously put products out there. But I just personally it does not intrigue me at all. I know people that love EVFs that will appreciate having an EVF back. I don't care for EVFs. I'm actually prefer it like this, or like the FX3, where I can just have a top handle without an EVF in here, so it makes everything more compact, and I would rather have like a monitor. So that's my personal reason. It has a very slow readout speed. You can't even do 60 frames a second in full frame. And if I've spent time criticizing Panasonic about having no full frame, 60 frames a second, you bet your ass I'm going to give the same energy to Sony, especially to Sony, because I felt for so many years Sony kept getting away with things that a lot of camera companies were getting grilled on. But times have changed. What are your thoughts, though, man? I'd love to hear from you. But yeah, yes, but as I was mentioning, sad for the FPs and the FPLs. Really, they really had a little cult following, so it's sad to see them go away. Before we go into DaVinci Resolve, there is a topic that I do want to talk about, and that is with now we got the FX2, the S1H, not the S1H, the S1 II just came out, and now we've got some serious competitors from with the R5 II, and then the Z6, Z8, Z9 from Nikon. We've got a lot of good quality, high caliber cameras that are dedicated for video. So if you, for those of you guys that are in the chat, I would love to know from you guys, what, and the next one to me that I could potentially interest me is the S1H2. If I don't now, all signs says that it's not going to come out this year. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, but I highly doubt it. I'm pretty sure the S1 II is going to take a lot of the energy in terms going into Cine Gear. So I don't expect an S1H2 announcement anytime soon. But while we're here, let's talk about some things that we would love to. If you are someone that may be looking at Panasonic, or you are an S1H, I don't know if Trevor's here, but Trevor, if you're here in the chat, if you had a chance to tell Panasonic what do you want in the S1H2, what would that be? So obviously, me being hosting the stream, I'll give you mine first. Honestly, the S1 II is damn close to what I would want from Panasonic. There's just a few augmentations that I want. Number one, Open Gate has to be minimum 10-bit 422. Minimum 10-bit 422. Or giving me a true Open Gate 12-bit raw output if you can't give it to me internally. So, but having a decent color depth and color sampling, subsampling, because look, if you're just going to use the LUT that the company provides and you're not really pushing things too far, it's fine. The 10-bit 420 is fine. However, the moment you start doing masking, if you're someone that's really into color grading, or you go into VFX and you're talking about masking and trying to get really very fine detail, shading and things like that, 10-bit 420 is just not enough. And while everybody is touting oh yeah, this is one of the first Open Gate cameras that shoots 10-bit 420 that shoots Open Gate at 60 frames a second. For mirrorless cameras, yes, that's true. But we all know Ken Affinity has put out Open Gate above 60 frames a second for years. And Blackmagic is going to release the Pixis 12K, which does have Open Gate above 60 frames a second. And they've already released the Cine 12K, which does Open Gate to Open Gate to 140 frames a second for the Ursa City 12K. Insane frame rates. But I get it. For mirrorless, yes. But the color subsampling is a big deal for me. The second thing for me is I know this is going to be controversial. And I know some people are going to be upset with me, but I want the EVF gone. I want an FX style body, Blackmagic, not necessarily as big as a Blackmagic, but an FX style body where it's basically more square shaped. Because I personally just don't need the EVF. And you have the S1 II already, the suffice hybrid shooters. Let the S1H2 be a true video shooter. So get rid of the EVF and basically have a box shape. Because I think one of the things that really helps the FX3 is with that top handle and just keeps everything compact, especially when you're using very small power power banks. Like, I don't know if you guys seen the video I dropped yesterday, but I dropped a video reviewing the Inu P63 batteries. They basically sit on my camera. They're sitting on my FX3 now, and they just keep everything super compact. So remove the EVF. It was provide 10-bit 422 open gate. I don't know how possible this would be, but I would love Blackmagic RAW internally in the S1H II. Again, I don't know. That's between Blackmagic and Panasonic to decide that. But if you got ProRes RAW internally into there, I personally think you should have Blackmagic RAW in there because it is native to DaVinci Resolve for me, which is the more personal one. And just honestly, that's about it. The S1H, the S1 II pretty much covers most of the. And I guess the only other thing would be like actual 32-bit float internally. I don't expect internal NDs in an S1H II simply because it's a physics thing. If I'm going to keep the size relative to what mirrorless cameras is, then you can't have built-in NDs. There's just not enough space. It's a physics thing. You would have to make it the size of something like the C70 to actually have true proper built-in NDs. And I don't know if I actually would want something that big in terms of a mirrorless camera that I'm trying to tote around everywhere. So those are my options. But hopefully you guys put it in your comments in the chat. So let's see what you guys talk about. DM Colorist, agreed. Even with competition, can do 60 full frame 60 at a lower cost. Exactly. No, as I said at the top, I just personally feel like this camera's like a year or two too late. Like if this came out a year ago or 2 years ago, honestly, I think this would be a big seller. But because they waited long, I just don't think. I don't know. It's going to find its marketplace, but I just don't think so. Free Peace, thank you, man, for joining the channel. I really appreciate that. It's only available on planet Earth. You guys need to figure out interplanetary shipping. Oh, yeah, Free, but the tariffs, man, they're gonna. I mean, those aliens, you know, they got to get paid. You know, they got to pay for all the hard labor we done at Earth right here too. So we're trying to get more. You know, we're trying to get more manufacturers back here on Earth. You know, instead of having all these, you know, extraterrestrials taking our manufacturing jobs. Giovanni, thank you for joining the channel. Thank you for joining the stream. 2 years ago, someone in Minato said, "Let's put the A7 IV into the FX body." Yeah, and I think had they actually sped it up and done it 2 years ago, I think it would have been a good success. Totally agree. And S1H II, internal ProRes RAW, sensor readout speed 15 milliseconds or better, better dynamic range with 15 plus, file extended, simplified frame rates, and frame rate code menu system. Yeah, I think that's why I'm saying Panasonic, just do away with 10-bit 420. If you can't do frame rates at 10-bit 422, just get rid of them. I mean, maybe it's just me. Let me know, guys know. But would you guys just be happy if they just gave you frame rates just for 10-bit 422 and just did away with any recording options that could not be done at 10-bit 420? Because to me, that would, first of all, that would free up so much and get rid of. Because I think they even still have some 8-bit recording options. Which, why are they there? This is just wasted. This is just wasted space. Like, me personally, I think, like, just give me the 10-bit 422 options and then just let me record. If I can't do higher frame rates, it's fine. I don't shoot like 120 frames a second that often. So let alone trying to shoot 120 frames seconds in like open gate. I don't care. Just give me 10-bit 422, 4K 60, and we'll be good. Give me 10-bit 422 open gate, we'll be good. I think that alone will reduce so much of the recording options. And also I would just say, take a look at what Blackmagic did with their menu structures. I mean, the Ursa Cine has a plethora of recording options, both in aspect ratios and resolution options and frame rate options. But it's all simplified to like one screen. One screen. I've got why are we getting like a Bible size pages of frame rate options and recording options when Blackmagic just puts it all on one screen? So I would say Panasonic definitely take some pointers from Blackmagic in terms of your menu structures. But yeah, basically, man, you were saying essentially do the S1 II with reduced frame rate options or reduced menu screen. So, which I do agree with that. I DM says I live and die by EVFs. I always add an external EVF, and I not trust me, buddy. I am not knocking you, and that works for you. By all means, have at it, Hoss. Yeah, that's the thing with cameras. So I guess the FX2 kind of does something like the FX2 does appeal, and that's totally fine. And I think there's a lot of cameras already out there that have those EVFs. So I just think there should be some more cameras that are just to stop trying to be hybrids. There's enough hybrid cameras, but there's not enough true video mirrorless cameras, if that makes sense. And also it's just for me because I'm 6'1", so I'm always shooting people like here, so EVFs just don't make sense to me. Because if I shoot up here, I'm always aiming down. So, but works for you, man. I'm happy for it. Let's see here. I remember an old interview. Blackmagic design would license internal B-roll. Someone should do that, but it probably costs too much because it would compete directly. I mean, again, I don't know Blackmagic's licensing practice, so I can't speak on that. But Blackmagic has had a lot of their stuff open source, where people can literally go in and make things happen for both their cameras and the DaVinci Resolve. So, and yeah, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a license fee, but I'm certain it's not going to be as expensive as trying to get a license fee from Arri. But Panasonic did that for ARRIlog C3, which and that's something that, of course, people pay to get $100, but that's also something that you can literally do in DaVinci Resolve for free, and literally for free. Like, even in the free version of DaVinci Resolve, you could just do that. You can literally just convert things into the DaVinci Resolve space, and with a couple, maybe like at most an hour's tops, if you have an Arri image, just line it up. You can match them pretty effectively. But that's just me. The FX2 is now the most important release for Sony since the A1. I wonder if they realized this 2 years ago when the specs were being drawn up. I mean, look, I think Sony's used to it. I mean, let's remember, everybody was saying the same thing about the A7S III when it was almost 5 years since the A7S II came out, and people waited for a while long, and then it came out, and those that bought it were very happy with it, and a lot of them still happy with it, and I'm happy that they're happy with it. So I think Sony has an idea of what they're doing, though it's just that everybody else is we're in a phase where all the other companies are sort of getting their new gen lines ready, and Sony is kind of still improving. Because let's keep it real, because remember, the B-Raw firmware update doesn't even come till September. So they're still updating the Gen 1 FX3. So I still think it's going to be a while before we get to an FX2. I'm sure it's going to be satisfying for people. If it's not, the market will decide. Me, I'm good either way. I got the cameras that I need that will suffice for me now and quite so far into the future. The only thing that's left for me is that Pixis 12K. And I'm just waiting for that, and then once that comes, I'm good. I feel like Sony is trying to figure out on the A9 III design to give better DR. Then that will go to the FX3 Mark II. I mean, the real problem, with a lot of these is just a lot of these cameras are using 12-bit are using 12-bit sensors. There's only so much that these sensors can eke out, especially if Sony is stubbornly dead set on keeping these cameras compact. In order to extend dynamic range, you kind of have to put in more processing, which means it needs to be more powerful, which means you need more batteries, life support, and honestly, it creates more heat, and which means you need more ways to vent. And that's harder to do when you're trying to keep it a compact camera. It just is. You want high power, high quality, high dynamic range. They gotta make the camera bigger. It's just simple. They gotta make the camera bigger. But I don't know if they're willing to do that. So you guys are having conversations. We'll see. Again, we'll see. I think honestly, the 15 plus stops of dynamic range is more than enough. I don't. For me, I've been saying this. I think dynamic range has gotten to the point where it's being overrated. If you have 12 stops of dynamic range, if you got 12 usable stops of dynamic range, you have more than enough to do things, especially since lighting has gotten so much cheaper and Resolve has gotten so much smarter. If you got good 12 stops of dynamic range and you learn how to just expose properly, you'll be good. So let me see here. No one is bringing an FX3 on to a set. They best worry about Blackmagic or that 3K red rather than FX3 eating the Venice or Burano cells. I vehemently disagree with you, Giovanni. I know because of how much my FX3 gets rented out. It is being put on how popular that camera is. So I live in the Philly, Delaware, New York area. And again, that camera gets rented so much. It gets rented so much. And that's why it continues to hold its value. So many people have brought FX3s onto set, and they continue to bring FX3s onto the sets. In fact, a friend of mine, he rented out. He told me that his FX, well, he had an FX30, but he's rented out, his FX3 got rented out so much that he actually made enough money that he could outright buy the Ursa Mini Pro 12K that he bought years ago. Again, it just depends on where you're at and depending on your market. But I know in the New York, Philly, Delaware area, it is an extremely popular camera, and it's in high demand. So again, it all depends on where you're at. But here, yeah, it's still a very, very popular camera. Yeah, as DM Color has said, it comes on sets all the time, but not necessarily as an A cam, but it is the B cam of the Venice. Yeah. Giovanni, we'll do this, and then I'm going to go into last comment, then I'll go into DaVinci Resolve. Few people are going to have the bucks to bring in a Venice or an RA on an indie set. Giovanni, I disagree. Maybe it's just because of where I'm at, but Aries get rented out all the time, all the freaking time in the Philadelphia area, especially in the Philadelphia area, especially in the New York area, the Philadelphia area, the New York, Philly, Jersey area. Aries get rented out all the time. Venices get rented out all the time. That a lot of the rental companies that I know that are in this area, they're always out of stock of those cameras. So again, it all just depends on where you are. So having said all that, I think this is a good time to start moving into Resolve 20. maybe I am DM. Maybe I am in just a good area. So, uh, let's get into DaVinci Resolve, shall we? So, Blackmagic has now officially launched the out of beta, so full Resolve Studio 20. So it is now completely out of beta, so you can download it right now. Both the studio version and the free version are both out, which is awesome. And I gotta say, I don't know if you guys have been playing with the beta version, let me know. But I've been playing with the beta version, and I've done it all the way up to beta 4, which was the last one. And I gotta tell you guys, this may be one of this is DaVinci Resolve has now gotten so good. The new AI features that are in here are so good. It is literally now like a cheat code to do stuff. If you are someone who produces content for you, especially if you do produce content for YouTube, or even if you just produce content for like social media platforms like Instagram and Facebook and do vertical content, it's kind of crazy at how powerful Resolve is. It is now to a point where I literally do everything in DaVinci Resolve. The only thing I don't do in DaVinci Resolve is transcode photos, because some photos, some raw photos, Resolve doesn't understand. So I still have a plugin. It's not Adobe. I forgot what it was. But anyways, I typically transcode it, or I use on my M4 Mac Pro. I transcode them to like JPEGs or HEIF if I need to make some quick turnarounds. Outside of that, I do everything in Resolve. I build my thumbnails in DaVinci Resolve. I create all my shorts in DaVinci Resolve, and it does it very, very easily. So let me see if I can pull up this. So I'm gonna pull up Resolve. So I'm in Resolve right now, and I'm going to sort of do a little setup, a little guide of what we got here. So this is some shots from my autofocus test. Maybe not the best one to do, but it's actually, let me see if I can find one. So, let's pull up my Comica VM40 because I want to show you. I want to show you what this capable of do. The first big one I want to show you guys is the Intelli script. So I'll go to my Comica VM4, which I've already done my review for. First things first, it's so easy to sync things in DaVinci Resolve that I don't even have to highlight anything. I just need to do waveforms, and then I could just go take this off because I don't want it to retain the video files, but just to retain the audio metadata. I just wanted to retain the video, and then it syncs. And done. The only one didn't sync, which is, I believe, was like something that wasn't even recorded. But now all my files, hopefully it's close. It's a little bit laggy, so apologies in advance. But all my files now, and let me see if I can. Let me make sure this camera is speeding. This is. They're automatic sync. It's like it works almost as good as timecode. It's not as good as timecode, but it's just about as good as just syncing up with timecode as anything is possible. But there's the cool thing I want to talk about is the IntelliScript. So I am going to use AI tools, and I want to create a timeline using IntelliScript. So I should have the VM40 script here. I don't think I do. Okay, but essentially, okay, so I don't have that. There's got to be, I'm trying to find this, so give me a second. But let me see if I can files. I'm trying to see what is on here that I could, if this could work. Let me see this real quick. So I have, so yeah, I do have I do have it here. All right. So I'm going to take these and I'm going to create a new timeline using the IntelliScript. I'm going to find the script. Should be here. Where is it? Why is it not finding it? This is weird. I don't know why it's forming this way. So let's Comica. Here it is. Here it is. VM40 review. Here it is. So we're gonna open this up. So I put the and this is the subtitles, by the way. So I exported the subtitles there. You can, and it's going to analyze the clips and it's going to transcode it. So once I do that, it's going to automatically create the timeline. And what's cool about this setup here is that you could actually take something like ChatGPT and then you can essentially create a .text file, which is what it sort of prefers. But you can take the subtitles, you can export the subtitle SRT file, put it in ChatGPT, says convert this to a .text files. ChatGPT will do that. You can bring that back into Resolve, and it will cut up the script. And yeah, it didn't. So it didn't do it here because that was a subtitle format. I needed in a .text format. But that was one of the really cool things that I really love about it. The next thing that I absolutely love is the music. Is the music editor, which is pretty damn impressive. So let's say I'm gonna just cut this down to, just for argument's sake for now, we're gonna delete this. This is the full music right here, but I wanted to extend to the full thing, which is about 12 minutes. So what I can do is go to the AI music editor, and I'll just type in, and I'm just going to type in the actual, music. So at the time, so 12 minutes and 17 and 12 seconds. And then I'm just going to hit adjust. And it's going to do that. It's going to make the adjustment. And voila, there it is. Which is kind of crazy that it can do, and it's kind of crazy that I can do that. And then it gives you options, so you can trim it down, trim this down, trim this down. So this is probably my favorite thing. So if I got music that I got a little bit longer, and you can even live trim it. So you can turn on the live trimmer. So if you want to say, oh, I only want to use it for this much, it will update the editing, the editor. It will update the music editor if you do the live trimming, which is really cool. And I absolutely love that about it. So let's take a look right now at chat. Let's see what chat is saying right now. I only go full release to full release. Can't afford any issues. Totally understand, man. Like I said, it's out right now, so definitely check it out. So I would definitely say if you want to take a look at it, play around with it, download it now. So, but the music editor is probably my number one outside of the IntelliScript. If you actually work with like ChatGPT and everything, that is probably like my favorite. That's probably like my favorite one to do. The next one that I played around with initially with DaVinci Resolve was the what's the timeline? It's the audio assist. So basically, the audio assistant does it's a sound mix. It's a finalized sound mix. So I think we'll give this a try. We'll let it kick. And basically what it does, it takes your dialogues, it takes your music, any sound effects you would do, and it'll mix them and it'll level them out and it'll sort them out just like you've done. I have found it does a decent job with this. However, the critique that I have with this is the fact that oh oh, you can't see. Oops, sorry, forgot to cut. So right now it's analyzing the music. It's already done the dialogue, as you can see right here. There's no sound effects. I could probably try to find sound effects, but it's not that big of a deal. But the point I'm trying to make is it does a really, really good job at doing this. My only critique is it's very hard to edit it or make changes once it does this. Like, it makes changes to the track level, it makes changes to the clip level. So it does all these changes, and specifically at the track level, it's much harder to make those adjustments doing that. So I have found that I'm just better doing this manually for me personally. But if you're someone that's just trying to get something that's just sound mixed appropriately, that can go on a social media platform, you want to get out quickly, I think it does a good enough job that it's passable. You can do something, and it will be a net positive for you guys. Versus saying other setups. But yeah, and what I also love about how this works is that it will actually line up in terms of the audio. It will actually name the different tracks for you. So this is very, very helpful, especially if you already sort of sort things out. It definitely, it's also cool that it knows this is music, it knows this is dialogue, it's adding a bus track. So really, really cool. I'm gonna minimize this real quick. I know. So I'm gonna minimize this real quick and check. Yeah. Sorry about that. But yeah, it's really cool. Again, the only thing is that once you do it, it's really hard to make. It takes a lot of the control away, and it's really hard to make changes appropriately with it. But I think if you just need to do a quick sound mix, and for like social media posts, it does a great job. Also, with the IntelliScript script that I don't think I mentioned, is that you can, if you have ChatGPT, one of the other cool things is if you want to repost it, like cut up small of your main video and you want to cut it up to smaller pieces for your social media, you could just tell ChatGPT to cut this up and find the most interesting pieces about it and create a script for it. It will generate the script. You can throw those text scripts into Resolve, and Resolve will cut all those social media posts. And then, of course, there's also, this will be a good time to talk about the subtitle changes, which I'm going to cut back to how. So, as you can see, it's made the changes. What's going on, everybody? My name is James Jackson. And as you can see, I'll show you. And reviews for the film and video making industry. So, if this is content that you like, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. So it's making adjustments. So like I said, it makes adjustments to the track, and then it makes adjustments here too. So, and it actually automatically adjusts the volume levels as well. So like I said, which is really cool. Now let's say I want to generate subtitles, and I want to use these subtitles for like social media. So this is like subtitles is not something that's been anything new with Resolve. But what is new is that now I can generate the subtitles and have it automatically put on here. And it's gonna, again, I'm on my older computer because my Mac 4 is kind of over here. But so this may take a while, so give it a moment. So apologies for that. If you guys have questions about Resolve 20, definitely leave it in the chat. I'll definitely will be looking out for them. But yeah, what was? But I didn't get a chance to watch Brandon DM. I didn't get a chance to watch Brandon's stream. What was? How was it this time? Oh, God. Uh, Film buddy, gotta take care. Had to respond to that real quick. All right. So, all right. All right, this isn't going. I'll be honest. This isn't going as much as I wanted to. So apologies for that. It seems like this is. It seems like this is. It's the computer's slower. So I'm gonna make a video, sort of going into some of my favorites. Some of my favorites. But the main thing I was trying to show is that you can take the subtitle portion of DaVinci Resolve, and then there's an effects in the effects page that gives that TikTok highlight specific words, and you could drop it into the subtitle portion, and it will create that sort of TikTok phase, and you can customize it. So you can change the colors, you can format it to how you want. You could chalk the pace of how it will go from one word to the next. So a lot of things to help get more of that social media presence is in DaVinci Resolve. And then the only other thing I was going to talk about, but I was going to show, but I can't, was the fact that the Magic Mask is better in ways, but it's worse in different ways. So the one thing I'll say is the Magic Mask, it is way more accurate. It is way more accurate, and it is extremely well done in terms of finding what you want and knowing how to keep that rotoscope look. It's awesome. The problem I have found is that if you decide to make a change where you to the clip, say like you transform it, you downscale it, you zoom it down, or you like move the clip in any way, or you want to like do a crop in. The moment you do something like that, the entire rotoscope is gone, and you have to start over from scratch. It seems like it's a bug, and hopefully I was hoping that they would fix it by the time this came out. It's not fixed. I just tried it. It still has that issue. But the Magic Mask is what I use to create my thumbnails, because it is really snappy, and it knows exactly how to get the mask out the portions I want and help me generate my thumbnails right in DaVinci Resolve. So DM says, we mainly were talking about the FX2. It all had similar points to what you said. We couldn't determine who the camera was for and where it was really sit in Sony's lineup. Yeah, I just feel like the FX2 just feels like there was a quota. It feels like a quota camera. Like they were like, we need to make something for the FX line, and they were like, well, we don't really have anything. Well, what do we have? Well, we got this EVF we were working on for another camera. Well, put that in there. But all right. So yeah, but I totally agree, man. It just feels like quota. And now gives it the animated subtitles. Exactly. Like what you would have spent, depending on how good you are in Fusion, you would have the time you would spend in Fusion building the animated subtitles and building out that macro, you now could do it right in the edit page of DaVinci Resolve. Exactly. My favorite feature is the alert red to show you any black areas if stabilization and using motion effects that scale or rotate. Oh yeah, I remember that one. That is, I don't get it. I don't get that a lot, but it is a great feature to have, and I do appreciate that. So, and actually, I was what time? Oh, this is going a little bit longer than I anticipated. Um, but yeah, I was hoping to do show off DaVinci Resolve, but of course, this PC is a much older than I have with my newer computer, so things are a little laggy. But uh, yeah, I'm excited. Resolve is just super fast and super dope. I and I enjoy it. Lazy, thank you for joining the channel, man. Yeah, totally agree, man. I I was like I can't give Sony a pass on this because I'm like if I get on anybody's like that you're gonna give crop 4K 60 because that's I when Canon announced this new R50 R50V, the naming is weird. They put when they have that crop 4K 60, I'm just like, you're already a crop camera and you're more of a crop than actual APS-C, and now I gotta put another crop in. It's like if you can't. It's like to me. It's like I got on Panasonic about it with their previous cameras. It's like that's I can't let Sony go. Like why are you releasing a camera that? Why are you releasing a full frame camera if you got to crop in 4K if you got to crop in the Super 35 to get 4K 60? Like why are we doing this year? It's dumb. It's stupid. Kind of an A7 IV but uglier. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't know who this is for. It's Edwin. Thank you for joining the channel. It's dead on arrival. Recycled old parts. Shills calling it confusing, but ain't nothing confusing about it. It's just bad. I mean, no. It is. Look, it is confusing to me. It is kind of confusing because it's like why are you making this camera? Why are you releasing this camera? It just it just feels like there's a quote. This feels like a quota camera. I felt like, I mean, this is basically what I think a lot of people felt the EOS R when it first came out, or the RP. It's like these were just quota cameras to hold people over until the new gen of cameras come through. So yeah, it's limitation of the sensor, but they didn't have to put the sensor, Giovanni. But they didn't have to put the sensor in there either. They could have put a brand new interesting sensor in there. Or if you're going to put in old sensor, do what like Blackmagic did and create a whole new body and a whole new design, which I know theoretically they did. That's what they did, but I mean like go like if you're gonna put the create like an FX6 style version of this, then that would be interesting because that would be interesting to have. It's like okay, an FX4, have something like an FX4. So it's a more compact FX6 with this sensor, but it will have the built-in NDs, and you get all the professional features that are in like the FX6. I think that if they had done something like that, I think this would have been better received. Actually, let me ask you guys this. If they had put the same sensors, the recording options are all the same, but they put it in like an FX6 style body, and which will also give you the chance to put in built-in NDs, do you think this would have been a more enticing camera if they had done something like that? Let me know what you guys think. I think this will be like the last thing we do before I start heading out, and I gotta return a call. They should have semi-stacked the 33 megapixel sensor. Yeah, no, it's definitely something they should have done. But again, like I said, we all know it's a choice. Yes, it's the sensor. Yeah, totally. Yep, as we all said, it's the sensor design. The only thing I'm sad about is Red's SDK 9 didn't get implemented. Needed for my Nikon RAW files. Get the Red workflow with them built into Resolve. Yeah. Well, hopefully that comes in the future, man. But I think we're still in the way in the early stages of this acquisition with Nikon and Red. I'm just interested to see how long the support of like RF mount versions of their cameras are going to last, because I think once they sort of ease that portion out, I think they'll really go ham on it. Okay, DM Color says he doesn't believe it would be more enticing. All right, I'm glad. I'm glad we got opposing opinions. I'm glad to hear that. If it wasn't for the AI features, why even buy it? Just get the A7 IV. Yeah. Like, and if you're someone who invests and you have a lot of investment in cinema glass, what is enticing about this camera? Because it's like you're not going to benefit from the AI features if you have majority of your stuff is cine glass or manual lenses. Like, majority of my glass is manual lenses. So, you know, autofocus isn't really a, you know, enticing thing for me with this camera. So, yeah. But I think I'm going to call it for the stream. Yeah. So basically, I think a lot of people are agreeing the FX2 is a blunder. Resolve, I'll just say this again, if you guys have not tried Resolve 20, if you weren't in the beta for Resolve 20, it is awesome. Go ahead, give it a try. It's definitely worth the upgrade. Trying out the AI tools have saved me so much time. Resolve is going to be, I think, over the next couple of days, is going to be the big talking point. And then, it's sad for those of you that may have came in a little bit later. It appears that Sigma is going to discontinue the FP and the FPL cameras. So, sad thing, but if you guys were interested in those, definitely try to get them sooner, because they're not going to be in stock afterwards. But this is going to do it for me, guys. Thank you guys for joining me on this. Again, before you guys leave, if you haven't hit the like button, hit the like button. And also, if you're new here, if you enjoyed it, I know this has been a little rocky. It's been a while since I've used the sub, but if you enjoy this and you enjoy my content, make sure to hit the subscribe button before you leave. And keep an eye out. I'm definitely going to have some videos about Resolve 20. We have some reviews of some products that's coming out. I've actually got a review for the micro color panel. Blackmagic sent me this, so I've got that review. I'm trying to get that out. If not Friday, it should be like the very beginning of next week. And then there's a couple other gears that I think are very, very more affordable gears, but they've changed the way I work, and I definitely want to talk about it. So thank you guys, everybody, and as always, until next time, take care, everyone.